Hello, my name is Selena Herrera, and I will be doing a presentation on the ADDIE model today. Some quick apologies or notes to make. I do seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. I am learning how to use a lot of these technologies, and as a lot of y'all are as well. So I do apologize if there are some issues like lagging, or I'm just trying to navigate my way through the presentation in a smooth manner. I also want to note that the web recording within the screencast is a bit larger than I had expected, and it does cover up some information. However, like all the other presentations, my presentation will be linked without the recording inside the ADDIE Theories and Models overview page that we have, and then so you can look that over as you maybe listen to this recording. I also want to note that I am using a very sensitive Bluetooth mouse that does at times move to other slides or pages by accident from me just tapping it. So if that does occur, I am really sorry. I'm going to try and keep that to a minimum to none of happening, but just in case it does, just want to let you know. So again, I am discussing the ADDIE model. A quick overview. The ADDIE model is one of the most commonly used instructional design models due to its simplicity and effectiveness. ADDIE is an acronym for the 5 phases that make up the model. The 5 phases are analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation. The ADDIE model is a linear model, as you can see within my presentation. Each phase must be completed in succession after the other. I do want to note that I am someone who has never been deliberately exposed to this field of study, which by that I mean, instructional design. My area of study is psychology and school psychology. So I think it's really important to stress to others who are also new to this field as well, that when looking at these models, it's important to remember that these models are not only models used to train other individuals, and by that I mean, students or coworkers or trainees, but these are also models that are used to create the trainings themselves, and as well as the tools that will be used for training purposes. So for me, that was kind of difficult for me to wrap my mind around, which I know might seem silly to people who, this is their, major and their field of study. But I think it's really important to note that for individuals who are taking this class for the first time and have never been exposed to this. So the first phase of the ADDIE model is the analysis phase. Within the analysis phase, it is important for the content or training developer to clarify why a new training or a new training tool is needed. To do this, it's important to examine what the current training looks like and if any gaps exist within the current training. By examining the current training protocols and understanding what areas need further instruction, excuse me, the instructional designer or a training developer is able to clarify the instructional problem, establish goals and objectives for the training, identify the learning environment, and identify the skills and knowledge of the learners and trainees. The next phase of the ADDIE model is the design phase. With the information obtained during the analysis phase, the developer can begin making practical decisions. An important aspect of this phase is the use of storyboards. So the developer will create a storyboard of their ideas of what the training will look like and what it will consist of. These will be used as drafts or prototypes of the training and will later be implemented in further phases of the model. The next phase is the development phase. I'm going to move myself really quickly so you can hopefully see that area. So during the development phase, the developer will begin to create each aspect of the training course based upon the prototype or storyboard created during the design phase. This phase of the model builds upon the last by adding details and refining the course. During this phase, the use of technology is heavily used and relied upon in order to perfect and add details as well as polish the course content so that it can be appealing and engaging to the trainees. The course is reviewed and revised according to feedback that had been provided. So the next phase is the implementation phase. Within this phase, a process for the training, both for the facilitators of the training and the trainees or learners, is created. So facilitators are trained to cover curriculum, the learning outcomes, the method in which they should deliver the curriculum, and the testing procedures that will be used to test the reliability that the training goals and objectives were reached. Also in this phase, the developer would implement the course that they had completed in the previous phase, and trainees would begin using the course or content for training purposes. During this phase, it is important for the developer to be on the lookout for any issues that may arise. One way in which they can do this is before the release of the course or content is by conducting a pilot study. The next phase is the evaluation phase. So feedback is an important aspect of the ADDIE model and should be obtained during every phase of development of this model and the process of creating the training. So one way in which feedback can be provided during the evaluation phase is through the use of surveys. In the survey, it is important for the developers to ask questions that gather information on whether the training they have provided was able to accomplish the goals and objectives they had set out to reach in the analysis phase. After receiving the feedback, the developer will then begin to use the ADDIE model again to improve upon the training that they have created and incorporate the feedback and fill in any training gaps that they've noticed through that feedback. So again, as we discussed in the overview, the ADDIE model is a linear model. It's not cyclical. Once you complete the last phase, which is evaluation, you would then begin again. You cannot move across to different phases and begin other processes due to the aspect that each phase really does build upon the other one. The next phase can't start until one is completed because a lot of the information that you obtain from the previous phase is used in your next phase of the model. So with that being said, that does bring us to the weaknesses of the ADDIE model. Although there are always pros and cons to every model that you're going to go over or learn about within instructional design, one such weakness that you should be aware of when using the ADDIE model is that it is linear. Each phase will build upon itself. Each phase runs in succession of the other one, and because of that, the next phase cannot begin until the previous phase has been completed. This linear approach can be restrictive and may not be helpful with training protocols that do not have fixed learning outcomes or a predetermined end state. So in that analysis phase, when you are seeing what is the issue that you might currently be experiencing with your current training protocols, or you see gaps in the training that you wish to fill with new training, you do have to create goals and objectives that will be later used to evaluate the training and whether it's reliable and valid. because of that, if you don't have any type of end goal or any type of predetermined end state to end the training on, this will not be an effective or helpful model to use when creating training. My last slide is going to be my references. These are all articles that I found when searching the ADDIE model that I thought were helpful and could be helpful for anybody who might be interested in the use of this model. Also on my page that discusses other helpful articles and information on the ADDIE model, I do have listed 2 peer-reviewed articles that I did obtain from the Bell Library. They do discuss the use of the ADDIE model in creating training for teachers, especially one I think is interesting due to it dealing with creating training for dealing with COVID during this time that we are, online doing things remotely. So if you want to take a look at that, you can also look for those 2 extra references as well. So thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.